Hello and welcome to another episode of the Abundantly Successful Show, the show for conscious entrepreneurs who have the deep desire to turn their passion into a successful and thriving business, all while making a huge impact in the world. I'm your host, Kay Sanders, also known as the creator of possibilities. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about 50 minutes to your greatness. So we're going to talk about goal setting and how you can really reach any of your goals in just 15 minutes a day. And our guest expert today is Connie Benjamin. She is an international speaker and author, and she's going to tell us all about how we can really reach our goals in just 50 minutes a day. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Connie. Hello, Connie. Thanks for being here. Great to have you.
Hi, it's so great to be here, Kay.
Yes, definitely great too. And I'm definitely going to be picking your brain. So be prepared for that.
All right.
But before we dive in, why don't you share with us a little bit like who you are, what you do, and my most favorite question, why you do what you do.
Sounds great. Well, okay, I'm going to tell you a quick story. So it was a little while ago that I was living in this house and I had this little daughter, and I realized the house I was living was unsafe for my daughter. And at the time, I did not have enough money to move. And so I felt panicked. I knew I needed to start a business, but I had no idea how to start a business. And so what I did was I started going to business seminars. So I went to all these business seminars. I started to get results in my business and things were going great. And so I thought, awesome, I made it, fantastic, yay. And then I got completely out of balance. My relationship with my husband started to suffer and was disconnected. My relationship with my daughter, I was feeling a stressed out, overwhelmed mom. And I felt like I couldn't win at any area of life. So then I went to an event called Master Your Power Within that helped me to learn these higher laws principles that helped me to know how to get my relationship back with my husband so that now it's better than the day we got married, and he is seriously my hero. He's so awesome. And helped me to connect with my daughter and love being a mom and to get my life in priority so that I could do what I wanted to do in life and in my work and not lose my family while I did it. And so I have the opportunity of coaching and talking with women from around the world. And what I realized is that many women entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs are dealing with that struggle, that fight between work and having an awesome life at home and having a great business and great work environment. And so I knew I needed to do something. So I wrote a book called Women with Fire, 6 Secrets to Purpose, Profit, and Passion. And so my goal is to help all women to get a chance to do the work that they got to do to make a difference in the world, but in a way that they don't lose their sanity or their family.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I think that's definitely today going to be a great topic, I think because goal setting, I know a lot of people, they struggle with either setting goals, setting the right kind of goals, or then actually achieving their goals. I mean, I know for me, I have set many goals before, and then some I achieved right away, and some it's like, okay, what's going on here? So I think today, setting goals is such an important thing, especially in business, because you have to have goals in order to move forward, right? I mean, it's like your target that you want to go to your target destination. So, I mean, what would you say, is the biggest really challenge that entrepreneurs face in their business and when it comes to setting goals?
I would say that there's a couple things. One is that we get distracted. So we get distracted with the chaos, what I like to call the chaos of life. All the other things we got to do and juggling everything. And it's all entrepreneurs, and especially women entrepreneurs, we're juggling so many different things. And I also think that we've got this weird stress on women entrepreneurs, especially that where we feel like we need to be super women. We need to be a fantastic wife and a fantastic mother and perfect at all times and look like a supermodel while we're doing it, right? And running our business and just rocking every area of life. And so that gets exhausting, and it doesn't allow us to actually take things one bite at a time, one step at a time, and do things in the right order at the right time. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges that gets in the way of us reaching our goals, is because, one, we feel like we got to be perfect. And two, we feel like we got to do it all at once, all at the same time. So we're trying to take these big, huge, giant leaps. And I don't know if you can relate to this, Kay, but sometimes when I've done that, I fall flat on my face. And so, or we just get distracted with the chaos of life and forget that burning desire or that big thing that we really want to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, is that then basically the reason why sometimes we get the results and sometimes we don't, and it's really inconsistent in the way we reach our goals?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And actually there's one thing that I think makes all the difference. And oh my gosh, when I learned this, I was like, why aren't more people not talking about this? This is crazy. I get so excited about this because it really is game changing and helps you to know if we're going to hit the goal or if we're not going to hit the goal. So many people talk about, making sure your goal is specific and making sure that you're accountable and doing all those things. And those are important. Yes. But without this one more thing that most people don't talk about, it's going to be hit or miss. We are going to sometimes hit it and sometimes not hit it. And so I would love to share with you that one thing that has made all the difference for me and motivated me when I totally felt like not doing it, and helped me to write my book, starting with like 15 minutes a day. This thing is amazing.
Well, then don't hold back, because I can see you're sitting like at the edge of your chair, like, oh my God, I cannot wait. So go ahead.
I know, I mean, like a kid at Christmas, right? It's so awesome. It really is that awesome. Okay, so what it is this thing called bullseye time. And it's something that I learned at Master of Power Within event that, oh my gosh, is unreal, because what it does is it helps us to apply something that makes it consistent for us to hit our goals. Remember how I said before that we can be hit or miss with our goals? It's because what happens is the things that we really want to do in this life are usually not fun to do. Like, I hate to say that, but you think about anything like childbirth, amazing, best miracle in the entire world. Process,
not
painful.
So much.
Painful, right? Yeah. And so for anything that we want to do, anything that's really worthwhile, like getting in shape. I mean, not super fun to exercise while you're doing it, but but we know that the benefits after are amazing. We feel great. But in the moment, before we're going to do it, it's that decision point where we're like, do I really want to do this or not? It's easier not to do it in the moment than it is to do it. And so what we got to have is something that puts it immediately, that it makes it harder not to do it than to do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Tony Robbins said something like that before, like, we strive to get pleasure. And usually, like, the thing that we want, when we have it, that's the pleasure, but doing it, that's the pain. And we like to avoid pain. So it sounds like that's what you're talking about right now, right?
Totally. So to get that, now that's easier said than done, right? If we think in our mind, like, we are not logical creatures. Let's just face it. If we think in our mind, okay, Connie Benjamin, absolutely, you want to get up at 6:30 and work out. It's going to really hurt while you're doing it, but you should do it anyways. Logically, it's hard. That's a tough sell. That is a tough sell. But if I have something that's a motivator that's going to make it imminent, that I got to do it because of this motivator, that's game changing. So basically what a motivator, it's something that we choose to do that is going to motivate us to either do it or not. I mean, to do it. So here, let me give you an example. When I was writing my book, I knew I needed to write my book, but I was overwhelmed. I had, a baby at the time, a toddler at the time. Life was super crazy, and a child that she was about 6 or 7 at the time. So life was super crazy. And rationally, I kept thinking, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. And I kept putting it off. And I'd started, and then I'd be really awesome at doing, writing a little bit for like maybe a week, and then I'd forget about it, and like the chaos of life would get in the way. But when I put that motivator in place, and I decided, okay, if I don't write in my book for 15 minutes a day, then I don't get to have a shower until I do. And I said,
that's a good motivator right there.
Right? And then I said, okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. And if I do write in my book for 15 minutes a day, then I can have that fantastic, awesome shower. It's going to be great. So here I am, down to the crown. I got to follow through, right? This is my word. I got to follow through. So here I am, and I've got that baby, and I've got that toddler, and life got crazy. I got stuck in the chaos of life. Things get crazy. So I'm going through Costco, and if you have a Costco, you know how crazy it can be. So going through Costco, and I run into one of my friends, And the first thing that goes through my mind, because I didn't write in my book that day, is I'm actually doing a stinky pant checklist where I'm like, do I have baby spit up on my shirt? Do I have clean clothes on? Is my hair crazy? Did I comb it? Did I even comb it? Because I didn't have that shower. And so I was in a place of panic. And so let me just tell you, there's just, it only takes a couple times of doing that checklist before I am super motivated, no matter what, to write in that book. And that's how I did it. I just had that motivator that made it imminent that I got to do it. Does that make sense?
Totally. So, I would like to use an example, because I know a lot of my clients, a lot of, entrepreneurs and also, the audience, the main goal is, well, we want clients, right? Because we need clients to kind of sustain our business, right? So let's say we set a goal to, reach out to potential clients, because one of the things that I have come across a lot with clients and people that I talk to, they don't reach out, right? So what could be a good motivator to really get into the mood? Because I know when I first started out, I also had a hard time with actually reaching out. Now, I'll do it like left and right on LinkedIn. I'm like the LinkedIn queen here. But, initially it was really hard. And I also have seen a lot of people that expect clients to come to them rather than the other way around. So let's say we set a goal. Okay, I want to make, let's say, 10 clients within 90 days. How can we then, set goals and have that motivator to really overcome the pain of getting out there, getting the clients, making calls, doing whatever is really necessary to get those calls? Because I think if we can give the audience some kind of really good pointers on that can help them really get the clients, I think that would be a great thing for us to do right now. What do you think?
Love it. Love it. Okay. Let's dive in. So, and by the way, I can totally relate. I know when I was reaching out to people and I was making sales calls, it was like my phone, it might as well weigh 10,000 pounds. I just stare at it. And time would pass and I'd think, oh yeah, I'm being productive, and I get distracted with my, organizing my desk just stare at the 1,000-pound phone. So I can definitely relate to that. And so yes, does this work with getting more clients and with moving your business forward in this way? Absolutely. The first thing that we need to understand is that often what happens when we set a goal is that we look at the result that we want. Now, that's great. That's great. We want to look at the result. And sometimes we're even super smart and we get specific on the result that we want. I want 10 clients by October, blah, blah, blah. The challenge with doing that, though, is that when we do that, it's great that we do that, but we're missing a step if we just do that. Because you said something really, really important when you're giving that example. And it's something that if we focus on, we're going to be able to predictably do it, like reach that goal. And if we don't, we're not. And what you said was making those calls to get those clients. What happens is often with goal setting is we focus on the result rather than that activities that's going to lead to the result. And that, oh my gosh, that is in every single area of life. I don't know if you can relate to this, but many people can relate to, especially as women, stepping on the scale and thinking, dang, I wanted to reach this goal. And then you step on the scale and you feel like, I'm not there yet. But the activities, if we change that and we don't focus on the result, maybe how much I want to weigh when I step on the scale, and we focus on the activity that leads to the amount that's going to be on the scale, like exercise daily or, daily nutrition, that is what creates the result. So does the same pattern apply in business and getting new clients? Absolutely. So what we need to do is we've got to focus on the activities that get the result. So for example, if you know in your business that it's going to take, you're a LinkedIn master. I love that. I so love that. And I would love to learn even more from you about that. So I can't wait. But if you know that it takes you reaching out to, let's say, 50 people to get a client, I'm not sure what your numbers are, but you have a sense of how many people you got to reach out. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to know how many people you need to reach out to get that result you want, to get those 10 clients. And the challenge with where we can get stuck sometimes is, one, we don't necessarily know right out of the gate exactly how many people we got to reach out to get that goal. And so it's only when we're in momentum and we're doing it and we're reaching out that we start to get those statistics and we start to see what works and what doesn't work. And so the biggest thing that makes that huge difference is actually applying bullseye time. So that tool that I talked about. And if it's okay, I'm going to dive into specifically how to do it in that example.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, let's do it. So there's a couple steps. The first thing we got to do is we need to understand the specific activities that we got to do every day to get the result. So in that example of I want 10 new clients, then what that might mean is I need to reach out to 50 people in LinkedIn. I'm just giving an example. I have not done the numbers on this. You probably know better than I do. I need to reach out to 50 people on LinkedIn and to get one client. So then you know how many people you got to do. And then you do the math backwards and think, okay, if I want to get 10 clients and I got to reach out to 50 people, then how many do I need to reach out to every single day? Let's say, for example, with your timeline, let's just say I got to reach out to 15 people every single day to get to the 10 clients by whatever date you have. Are you following me so far?
Yes,
okay.
Totally.
Awesome. So you got to set that specific daily goal. And often that's what we're missing, right? We need the specific daily goal. Now, the next thing we got to do is find a time of day that we're going to do it. So a specific time of day we're going to do it. Because what tends to happen is if we don't do the important stuff first, and especially, oh my gosh, the stuff that like kind of hurts a little, picking up that 100,000-pound phone or making those LinkedIn connections when you just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm way outside my comfort zone here. If we don't do those things first, then they can get procrastinated, and then the chaos of life can just like sweep us away and we don't do it. And so we got to make sure we do that stuff first. So book a time that you know is going to work. You're fresh. You're ready to go. So I like to do things in the morning because I know my energy is better in the morning. So to book a specific time you're going to start. Now, the next thing we got to do is know exactly how long are we going to do this for, or how many people are we going to reach out for. So for example, and I say start with 15 minutes because I believe that what happens when we have something scary that we don't want to do, this drives me crazy. I've done this before and I've seen that this doesn't work, is that sometimes what happens is we think, okay, I want really, really fast results. So I'm gonna connect with LinkedIn, do LinkedIn, and I'm gonna reach out to 100 people every single day, and I'm gonna do it for 2 hours. And then we start doing it, and it's just overwhelming. It's just way too much. It just feels like too big of a mountain. It's not something sustainable. And so why I say start with 15 minutes is because we can do anything for 15 minutes. Yeah. 15 minutes isn't a big deal, right? We can do, even if it's painful, we can do anything for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And we can increase that as we become more successful at it and as we feel more confident in it. So start with 15 minutes and you say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 15 people in that 15 minutes every single day. And obviously, maybe you know exactly how much of time it takes to reach out to those people, but so you gauge it, you use what works. And the cool thing about doing that, one is having that set time of how long you're going to do it is, oh my gosh, productivity goes so much higher. There's so much research on how if we can shrink the cord. Brandon Broadwater talks about this. We got to shrink the cord because what happens is we take as much time as we need we take as much time as we have to get jobs done. There's tons of studies on that. So if we know that and we shrink the amount of time we got, we're going to be way more productive than those 15 minutes. And so that's one thing. Now, the next thing we got to do, so we've got set the specific daily goal. The next thing we've got is set a specific time you're going to start and a specific time we're going to end. The next thing that we got to do is set that motivator. So something that is going to motivate us no matter what, even when it's scary, even when the chaos of life starts slamming into us and we got all these crazy circumstances, that we're going to be motivated to do it no matter what. So I like to do, for motivation, I like to pick something that helps me to kind of have a little pain under my butt. So I'm going to do it. So the shower was one example. I've used lots of different ones, but that's an example. And something that I look forward to as well. If I do it, maybe I could go for a walk, or maybe I can have my favorite smoothie, or whatever it is, something that you look forward to as well. And so that's how we do it. And if it's okay, I'd love to hear what you think about that so far, and then I'll share a story with you.
No, I really love it. I really love it. So I'm just hoping that we're not going to have a lot of people that are going to go without a shower for a couple of days. No, but I completely get it. One thing I really would like to kind of drive back to is what you mentioned is like taking the action. Like I've seen so many, courses on, like goal setting and like even manifesting and all these things. And it's really great when you have that visualization of what you want to do. But oftentimes what they're forgetting is you actually got to take action. And, I like what you mentioned. And I would like to also add to take aligned actions, because one of the things that I've seen a lot is like going back to, for example, my LinkedIn strategy. There's so many people that would benefit more from going on Facebook. For me and Facebook, we have more of we're like nemesis. We're not really getting along very well. So I've tried Facebook, didn't really work out. And I resisted LinkedIn at first, but now, I realized, okay, LinkedIn is my strategy. But it's about taking aligned actions that feels good to you, that is just in alignment with who you are, what you want to do, your overall goals. And I've seen so many people that, they have the shiny object syndrome. Like one of the experts says, you got to do webinars, you got to do funnels, you got to do challenges. And then they jump into that because the expert said, this is what you need to do. And they believe the expert. But then it was a big failure or I don't like failure, but it did not work out the way they had hoped because it was simply not in alignment. So I think it's not just about having really great goals and really, visualizing it, but then also taking action that are in alignment with you as a person, with your business, with everything that you stand for. So I kind of want to add that into it. Now, I have a question though, because, they always say about you got to set those SMART goals. But then how do you really deal with, well, let's say we set a goal right now with the next 90 days, we want to get 10 clients and we take the action, but then 90 days from now, we don't have those 10 clients. How do you really deal with that? Because I know that was also one of the things that happened to me. This where I set goals and I took the action, and then the day came and I didn't get the goals. And also one of the things that I had read before, but from Eckhart Tolle was, being in the now. And, when you set those goals with a time limit, that actually can work against you, because if you don't reach it, then you're going to be all upset. I mean, what are your takes on that?
I love that you brought that up. First, there's a couple things that you brought up were so awesome. Everything you're saying is fantastic. So I just want to highlight a couple points. One, you talked about that it's whatever we do and whatever goal we have is that it's in alignment with our ultimate purpose. That is 100% true. And I truly believe that as well. And I believe that we all have this divine purpose that we're meant to do. And we're here to serve the people that are around us. So I love that. And the other thing that you talked about that was really awesome is how do we deal with when we don't reach our goals, and how do we come back for that? How do we stay present? How do we stay moving forward? Because let's be honest, it is hard to sometimes, not reach those goals. I think there's a couple things that are really game changing in helping with that. One is that we need to understand that when we use bullseye times, and there's one more thing that you talked about, the shower. I love that. Let's just say I'm motivated. When I went to that Costco and I didn't have a shower, you better believe I came home, wrote in my book, and had the shower. and there's a lot of different things that I use. I've used I get to, if one of my motivator in the past has been that I had to have the grossest smoothie, the smoothie that I really didn't like. It was mostly kale and maybe tiny bit of fruit. It just did not, that look, that's how it was. So there's lots of things that I've used for motivation, but I love that you point that out. So how do we deal with not reaching the goals, and how do we kind of overcome that? I think the cool thing about bullseye time, and the thing that I love about it, is because what it does is it focuses us on the consistent steps that we're taking. And it focuses on that's the win. Some of the challenge out there is that we get so focused on the result we're going to do. I'm going to run a marathon by this date. I'm going to have this many clients by this date. I'm going to have my book done by this date. Are they great to set those kinds of goals? Absolutely. But when we focus our actions on the daily specific things, the actions that are going to get to those goals, then we feel like we're winning the whole time. The whole time we're feeling like we're winning. And it shrinks the court so that we don't have this big, massive failure at the end. We know that we're taking the actions. And if we, there's actually a quote I would love to read, and I don't have it memorized, but I have it here. So awesome. Okay. It says, take what we need to do to consistently reach our goals. And this is actually done by Dr. Bandera. He's a guy that is expert in studying human behavior. And so what he said is we got to take complex tasks and make them simple, long tasks and make them short, vague tasks and make them specific. And the cool thing about understanding that that's what we got to do to really reach our goals, is that is what actually Bullseye Time aligns to. It helps us to do those things intuitively. The other thing that is really helpful is we need to understand that life is we don't have to be perfect in this life. That if we align to this, like this law of Kaizen, I love that word, Kaizen. It's,
Never heard of that. What is that?
It's a Japanese word that talks about constant improvement. And so if we align to that idea of we're going to constantly improve, and if we take those specific tasks that we're doing, let's say we've got this goal, and we're reaching out to LinkedIn, and we're going to do 50 or 15 LinkedIn connections every day for the next, 2 weeks. Well, if we've done that for 2 weeks and we notice, oh, this is super not working for me, and maybe I want to try Facebook, like you did with Facebook, right? You tried Facebook, you had that activity around Facebook, and then in a couple weeks we decide maybe this is not having the results that we want. The cool thing about having those daily goals is we can always readjust. We can always change. We can change our strategy. And so another thing that's really important is every single week we look at and say, what are the results on our activities? So we focus on the lead. There's a book that talks about this. I can't remember the name of the book, but it talks about the lead measures, which is basically the activities to get the goal, like we've been talking about. And then we focus on the leg measure, which is basically, is the activity that we're doing having the result that we want? And the cool thing about doing that is then we just readjust. If we've been trying to do those LinkedIn connections and doing them daily for 2 weeks or a week, and we're noticing we're just not having those results, then we switch it up. We try something new. So that allows us to be more likely to hit our goals. And I think too, when we let go of that idea of needing to be perfect and we step into that place of constant improving, then if we hit that goal eventually and we realize, you know what, I didn't hit exactly the way I wanted to do, and I didn't reach that goal, then it's okay. We just adjust. We've been adjusting all along, so we just adjust again. Does that make sense?
Totally. I like to call it being perfectly imperfect.
I love that.
Because I know before, like I was trying to get things perfect, but for one, I realized, like, for example, I'm gonna give you an example. Like I used to do videos, like, early on, and I cut out like everything, or a podcast, that's the best example. I used to do a podcast back in 2016 or whatever, or 15. And like, I edited like every stutter, everything. I really wanted to make it perfect. And you want to know how many results I got from that? 0.
Yes.
Because it was perceived too perfect. So now I do videos. Guess what? If I stumble over my words, if I stutter, who cares? I am perfectly imperfect. I'm totally fine with that.
I love that. Amen, sister. That is fantastic.
Exactly.
It's interesting that you say that. And the cool thing about that, like stepping into that place, is people relate better. Nobody wants to learn from somebody what can we learn from somebody that's perfect?
Exactly. And you know what? I know, like, when I watch something and it just seems perfect, I'm like, they just edited so much, and I know that's not them. I perceive it more as fake. I mean, of course, if I would make big mistakes and, say all kind of mumbo jumbo, I would definitely cut that out because I don't want to look like a retard, right? But I believe, like, if I see someone, everything is just too perfect, I know it's fake, because no one is perfect. We all make mistakes, and we have to be okay with that, because that makes us human, right? And humans, we make mistakes. But I relate a lot better if I listen to you and you stumble over your words, and if you share your story, if you share that, like what you shared at the beginning, that makes me relate to you, because guess what? I'm a single mom. I had to struggle, when I first started my business. I had my son, he was young. I worked, went to school, did my business, everything. So I can then relate to you. And I know so many, they don't like to share their story. They don't like to be, imperfect, so, and I think we're kind of getting off track right now with the would topic. But, one thing that I would like to add though, one thing that you mentioned earlier, like with the quote, I believe it's like, you have to take one bite at a time. Like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. And everything you're doing in your business, it's one step at a time. And I think it's like a constant improvement, like what you said, that law of, what was it again? Kaizen. I've never heard it, but I liked it. But it's like every day we have that clean slate where we can make different choices, where we can tweak our strategy. Whatever happened yesterday, last month, last year, it does not matter as long as you take, take what you've learned and make different choices. So I think like if we just take one step at a time, even with the goal setting, like I like what you said, having those daily goals, because then you can look back like, hey, you know what? I know, even though maybe I didn't reach the goals, but guess what? Every day I did what I was supposed to be doing to work towards my goal. So maybe I just need to change my strategy around or tweak my strategy to get better results. But one thing I wanted to ask you, because like, for example, when we're going back to the shower or drinking that really nasty shake, right? How do you actually hold yourself accountable to say, I didn't write my book today, but I know I shouldn't be taking a shower, but I really stink. And who's going to know that I slipped? So what do you do with that?
Good question. Well, one thing that's really helpful is you find an accountability buddy. So if I know for myself, if I tell someone, then I'm more likely to follow through on it. And so I would say to my husband, I did not write in my book today. And of course, he'd give me that look, super supportive and knowing look. And I would go and write in that book because I'm accountable to somebody. So it could be anything. It could be on, social media is, I think sometimes fantastic for accountability. How easy would it be to write on social media and say, I had this goal, and you tell somebody, you tell people and say, and I didn't do it today. There's accountability. So it doesn't matter if it's a friend or social media or, your kid, or it doesn't really matter who it is. It matters that you've got something to hold you accountable. And, there definitely has been research done that when we are accountable and we share our goals with somebody, we're more likely to achieve them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do without my accountability parts. I mean, you kind of need that, especially like if I don't have a husband, and my son, he really doesn't care, so it is so important because us entrepreneurs, for one, I think we're a completely different breed. We do need that, for one, strong mindset and that accountability, because we have to hold ourselves accountable, because sometimes it can be very easy, like, it's okay. I'm just going to, push it under the rug kind of, and just kind of keep moving on. But having that accountability is so very important. I think we covered a whole lot about goal setting. Is there anything else that we should touch on? I know there was something else you said you wanted to share a story, and I don't know, did you cover that already?
I'd love to dive into a quick story. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So the reason I want to tell you this story is because I think the other thing, as for entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs as well, one thing that happens is sometimes we can set goals in our business or, our work life, and we don't set goals with our kids or with our health or with, ourselves and our personal betterment. And so I think the one thing that I gotta say is that this technique, that bullseye time, it works in every area of life. That is what's helped me to connect with my husband, and it's what's helped me to connect with my kids and to work out and to do those things. It's the same tool that works for everything. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. You ready?
Go ahead.
So I had that bullseye time where I do cuddle time with my kids, because often life gets crazy and we're juggling work and kids and everything in between. And so I'm outside on this swing. It's like this porch swing, and it's this, and it's got no top to it, so you can see the stars. And I'm sitting out there with my daughter, and we're just like, arm around each other, and we're looking up at the stars, and we're swinging. And I ask her a couple questions. I ask her, what are you grateful for? What are you looking forward to? That kind of stuff. And she looks up at me and she said, and I ask her, what has been your best part of today? And she looks up at me with these awesome blue eyes, and she says, right now.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps. That is so awesome.
And thank you for that. In that moment, I just realized that yes, it's important to set goals with business, but man, we don't just want to settle for having a rocking business. We want to settle for having a rocking life. And so this goal stuff, it works in every area.
I love it. And, it is so important because, with everything, business is one part, even though we spend, like 80% of our time in our business, working on our business, in our business. But your health is part of it, your relationship, your finance, everything is part of that. So real quick though, so let's say we want to start with, goal setting. Like how can we really start, implementing like goal setting for all areas of our lives so we have like more of a holistic approach?
Awesome question. Okay. So one thing that I like to do is, so I've got those bullseye time for goal setting. I combined the words. That's really good. Okay. So again, the how it works is you've got the specific thing you're going to do every day, and you've got the start and end time, and you've got the motivator. And we can do that for, we can have several bullseye time in a day. So I personally like to set a bullseye time for my work. I set a bullseye time for my family, for my family life, how I'm going to connect with my kids. And I set a bullseye time for myself and what I'm going to do to make sure that I'm, mentally and spiritually and physically ready to face my day. And I set a bullseye time with my partner as well. And so how this looks like, just to give you a quick example. So one of my bullseye time with myself is I exercise every day. It's around 6:30. And so that's one of my bullseye time. And one of my bullseye time with my kids is that I work and then we go and have fun. We go and do something super fun. We go to a splash pad. My kids are littler, so we go do something fun. Go check out a library or something. Or maybe it's just connecting and reading a book. It could be anything, but some way to hit their heart, because we have to understand, I got to tell you this one quote, because this sets me free in knowing this. Okay. So we have to understand, Brandon Broadwater talks about that people remember moments, not days. Mm-hmm. People remember moments, not days. And so if we just have that bullseye time of, I'm going to connect with my kids every day, and it doesn't matter how I hit their heart, it matters that I hit their heart. Sometimes it's the end of the day when I'm doing a snuggle time and, having that time. And with my husband, it's doing something called a feeling check and making sure that we're not ships passing in the night, that we're supporting each other. We know what's going on for each other, and we're a team. So does that answer your question?
I love it. And you know what? You said, do it 15 minutes a day. And so if you're doing 15 minutes for each area of your day, it's not going to be that much time. Because I think, like if we're thinking about, oh my God, I got to spend, hours with my kids or with my husband and our wife or whatever, it can be very overwhelming. But if we're looking at like 15 minutes, 15-minute increments in like split out over the day, I think it makes it less overwhelming. At least for me right now, that's kind of the sense I got. Like if I incorporate like 15 minutes in all areas of my life, because I've been ignoring the whole exercising a lot, but I'm not telling you that. You didn't hear that, right? But it makes it so much easier if we chunk it down in those 15-minute increments. For me right now, it felt a lot easier to manage than, oh my God, I gotta go to the gym for an hour? Oh, hell no. So, I think we covered a lot. And I think I could talk to you, for hours, because I love your energy. And I think we brought this energy also into this interview. But, is there any, like, how can the listeners get a hold of you if they have any questions, if they would like to learn more about you or this whole bullseye or whatever you called it earlier method? How can they find out more about you? Where can they reach you?
Awesome question. Well, they can go to www.womenwithfire.com, womenwithfire.com. And there's actually a place where you can download an app. And it's this free app that has a pre-chapter of my book that goes into the specifics about goal setting, how to set real SMART goals with motivators, and how to do bullseye time. It goes into all the detail about it. And there's other cool stuff on there. There's videos and a really incredible morning empowerment exercise that helps us to get laser focused with what we want to do in our life in all areas, so we are aware of how to have an awesome life in all areas. So yes, they can totally download that app. It's free, and it's at www.womenwithfire.com.
I love it. I'm definitely gonna check that out, because I could use some, benefit from, make some adjustments in my life too. And I think everyone does, right? We're often like so focused on just one area. I gotta get my business off the ground and forget everything else, right? So So thank you so much for sharing it. Now, do you have any last words of advice, any last thoughts you would like to share with us?
Just that I know this sounds cheesy, but that you can do it, and that wherever you're at, it's okay. And we're all in a place of constant improvement, and it's all good. And just keep taking that next step, keep doing that next right thing. And as you apply that bullseye time, you apply it in every single area of life, your life gets better and better than you can possibly imagine, and you're worth it. It's awesome.
I love it. And I just want to say it wasn't cheesy because, Nike uses the same word, just do it. And I believe, everything is possible. So, I totally loved our interview today. So, Connie, thank you so much for being here, for sharing all this great content about goal setting and how we can do it, especially also giving the great example about, setting goals around getting clients. I think that was so valuable. And I'm pretty sure, the audience, like the people that are listening, really walked away with like a couple of golden nuggets and aha moments. I know I did. So thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed our interview.
Thank you so much, Kay. It's been such an honor to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. And, also guys, I want to thank you for being here, for tuning in again. I really hope you got a lot of value out of today's interview. And like what we mentioned earlier, like if you're just doing 15 minutes a day, setting some goals, doing something for 15 minutes, and then taking those aligned action. That's really the one thing that I want to highlight is it's great setting goals. It's great, if you want to manifest something, if you want to visualize and you're like really in the space, like, I want this, but you have to take action. And the way you take action is by setting those goals, by taking aligned actions, by checking in with yourself, have an accountability partner, and try this with a motivator. Don't go without shower for a couple of days. That's not the message we want to leave you with here today. But, really do this. It is going to be so beneficial for you. Set the right goals, do those little chunks, like what we mentioned earlier, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and that's how you reach your goals. Set them so you can reach them. Do something every single day, hold yourself accountable, and you will achieve your goals. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure you go to abundantly-successful.com for the show notes. Also, you can check us out on iTunes, Google, all these different places. And, you can also get the on YouTube, the video, and then also the audio. So, just make sure you go to abundantly-successful.com. All the links will be there, also her links. If you have any comments, leave it below. Like it, share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm super grateful that you're here, and I hope you perfectly imperfectly, stumbling over my words. I hope you have an amazingly abundant and successful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.